All right, Shalom, your brother Shabar from the Phoenix camp. With that being said, I want to give our honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Kakadash. Double honors to the elders of Great Millstone, and peace and salutation to the brothers that are doing this work in true sincerity. And I'm going to jump right into the scriptures. This is Hebrews 2:1. It says, therefore we ought to give the more earnest heed to the things which we have heard, lest any time we should let them slip. So as we come into the time of the Passover, this is a time for reflection, self-examination. This is a time to ensure your steadfastness in this truth, in this truth. Because during the time of the Passover is where we see a lot of things happening. During, before, and after the Passover is when you see some sifting in the spirit. So sift yourself. That's why the scripture says, judge yourself lest you be judged, man. So this is the time to judge yourself, man, lest you be judged. This is a time to examine yourself, lest you be examined and found wanting, man, or found lacking. That's why the scripture says that we ought to give the more earnest heed. Let's get that word earnest. It says more abundantly, more in greater degree, more earnestly, more exceedingly, especially above others. So, man, Great Millstone is known for work, is known for brotherhood. So now's the time to put it in overdrive, so to speak, especially during the time of the Passover. It says, therefore we ought to get the more earnest heed, especially this is the year of hastening. Elder Apostle Tahar declared this year, the year of the hastening. The earnest heed is in full effect, man. That's why brothers are decreed to make a video every day. Before it was 3 videos a week, now it's a video daily. That's a more earnest heed to the work, man. It says, therefore we ought to get the more earnest heed to the things which we have heard. That's talking about the things that we are taught, talking about this truth. To be endowed with the faculty of hearing, to attend to, consider, to understand, to perceive. So basically it's truth, to give ear to a teaching or a teacher. So the things that we have heard, starting with the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, man. Our teachers, those that were given the 100% true doctrine. Lest at any time we should let them slip, so that's a possibility. There's a lot of sifting that goes on during the time of the Passover, and so that's why this scripture is coming out. It says, for if the word spoken by angels was steadfast, and every transgression steadfast, was sure, it was 100%. And every transgression and disobedience receive a just recompense of reward. So every transgression and disobedience receive a just recompense, a payback, whatever that word is, a penalty of reward. So you got to examine yourself whether your actions have the consequence of the judgment or salvation. And because there's gonna be as it says here, there's gonna be a recompense of reward. There's gonna be a payback. There's gonna be a penalty for every transgression and disobedience, and also for our good works. It says, how shall we escape? Verse 3, how shall we escape if we neglect so great salvation, which at first began to be spoken by the Most High, and was confirmed unto us by them that heard him. So how shall we escape, man? How shall we escape? There is no escape, so if you ain't doing it the way you're supposed to be doing it, then you already know the consequences, man. There's no escape. There's gonna be transgression. There's gonna be recompense for your transgression. So by hearing this truth, that's a judgment in itself. When a man hears the truth, that's a judgment. Whether he hears or whether he forbears, that's a judgment. And that judgment's already predestined, but the Lord has to give an opportunity for that man to hear the truth. Now he's predestined to receive it or not to receive it, but at the end of the day, he heard the truth. That's why the scripture says that. That's why the scripture said that this gospel shall be preached to all the ends of the world, and then the end shall come. And that's the time we're living in right now. We're living in a time where the end will come, because this gospel, due to unicorn, has been preached to all the ends of the earth. You got camps everywhere, man. You got Great Millstone camps everywhere. The man teaching the truth. It says, I'm gonna get Hebrews Chalakia. I'm gonna get Romans 2 and 3. This is Romans 2 and 3, and it says I'll start at verse 1. It says, "Therefore thou art excusable, O man." Because why are we inexcusable? Because we know that there's consequences, there's recompense for transgression and disobedience. So it's right there in the scriptures. We were taught the scriptures. We know the terror of the Lord. That's our way. Knowing the terror of the Lord persuade men. We know these things. We know judgments are to come. So that's why there is no excuse. Therefore thou art inexcusable, O man, whosoever thou art that judges. For when thou judgest another, thou condemnest thyself, for thou that judgest does the same things. That's talking about a hypocrite, man. That's talking about a man that points fingers and are more righteous than thou, and like the scribes and the Pharisees were. They were that more righteous than thou spirit. They were all about the law, and you can compare them to you know these camps that are walking around today. More particularly IUIC. They got that Pharisee scribe spirit upon them. It says, when thou judgest another, thou condemnest thyself. For thou judgest thyself, thou that judgest doeth the same things. Is you got to be careful, man. You got to be careful in this truth. You got to be careful with your actions that you take and the words that you utter. You know, basically, you got to learn to think like a man. I know that when we grow up in this world, we're taught to basically you're taught to talk shit. You're taught to do whatever it takes to get yourself over. But when you come into this truth, you got to have a completely different mind state, a completely different spirit of how you approach everything. And that's something that we grow into. That's something that we learn. And some men learn it, and some men don't. Some men just don't get it. And some men, they mature to that level. It says, but we are sure that the judgment of Yahweh is according to truth against them which commit such things. And thinkest thou this, O man, that judgest them which do such things, and do it the same, that thou shalt escape the judgment of the Most High? So that's why you're not supposed to have some type of elitist spirit, because you're in the truth. You could have been very well counted with the 2/3. Is that the Most High show grace unto you to call you into this truth. So these 2/3 is really not their fault, man. They're just doing what the Lord programmed to do. And they're going to receive the judgment for the wickedness that they do. Do we agree with their wickedness? Do we accept or tolerate their wickedness? No, we don't. But they're just doing their job, man. Just like Esau, he's just doing his job. The other apostles brought that up before. You can't really be mad at the 2/3 because, they just doing what they're supposed to do. You can't be really mad at these other camps because, offenses must come. There's got to be a distinguishment between the truth and everything else that's pretty much full of shit. It says, think thou this, O man, that judge them which do such things, do the same. Thou shalt escape the judgment of Yahweh. So that's something to meditate upon, man. Like I said, we are in the time of sifting. We are in the time of examination, and this thing should not be taken lightly. This truth, this should not be taken lightly. You do what you got to do to get serious about it, man. You pray to the Lord and you tell him to put that right spirit upon you. With that, I'm going to get 1 Thessalonians 5:3. It's a real quick lesson. 1 Thessalonians 5:3. And it says, for when they shall say, I'll start at verse 1. It said, but at the times and the season, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. And that's right, man. We know the times and season we live in. We know that the time and season that we're living in is the fulfillment of prophecy. Everything that's going down, everything that's happening is the fulfillment of prophecy, man. For ye yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night, So we know that, man. We know it's coming. We know it's coming shortly. We know it's coming when the world least expects it. Verse 3, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them as travail upon a woman with a child, and they shall not scrape. And that's for the 2/3, man. That's for the heathen. They're gonna be caught unawares. Because they don't measure the time diligently. They're not being circumspect. They're not examining themselves. They don't have a fear of the Lord, basically. But they're set up that way. So that's why the scripture says, going back to Hebrews, so how should we neglect the great soul salvation? So all scripture be brought out. That's why we gotta take more earnest heed. Says verse 4. But brethren, you are not in darkness that they should overtake you as a thief. Why are we not in darkness, man? Because we have this truth. Because we know the things that are going on. We know why they're going on. We don't know exactly the time frame, but we know that it's pretty soon. So I'm gonna get 1 Peter 4:17. Just 1 Peter 4:17. It says, for the time has come that judgment must begin at the house of the Most High, and that's what the Passover is pretty much all about, man. When you think about it, because the Passover, going back to the story of the Passover, that was where the Most High gave exemption from judgment to those that had the blood of the lamb on the doorpost. That's what that was. And those that didn't, they got the angel of death put upon them. It says, for the time has come that judgment must begin at the house of the Most High. And we're in that time right now. We're in that time where men get sifted out. Where men will be offended, and by and by they're offended. It says, for the time has come that judgment begin at the house of the Most High. And if it first begin at us, those that know the truth, those that are in the know, what shall the end of them that obey not the gospel of the Most High? And if the righteous scarcely be saved, where shall the ungodly and the sinner appear? And if the righteous scarcely be saved, because we're going to scarcely be saved, man. Most High willing, we are the righteous. So that's a fear. That's a terror right there. That's something to be afraid of. Like I said, we're in the time of the Passover. We're in a time of sifting, of proving, of trying, and testing. And all you can really do is just pray to the Most High that He puts that right spirit on you to go through it. Now, not to say that once the time of the Passover is over, it's back to its breathing room again. No, it's always like that, but it just seems to be more intensified during the time of the Passover. It says, verse 19, wherefore let them that suffer according to the will of Yahweh commit the keeping their souls to Him, and well doing this unto a faithful Creator. So there's going to be suffering going on, but we have to maintain our suffering, man. We have to look at our suffering, in the right spirit. What's that? I'm going to get Mark the 16th chapter. I'm going to close it on that. This is Mark 16th chapter, starting at verse 15. And this is Yahushua speaking. He says, "Then go ye into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature." So everyone has to hear this truth. Whether it be a heathen listening to his judgment, or Edomite listening to judgment, or 230 to judgment, or the elect listening to their being called into the marriage. It says, "He that believeth and is baptized," and that baptism is talking about the word, being baptized with the word, because that's how we don't do a water baptism. Our baptism is spiritual. Shall be saved. That's talking about the elect, man. But he that believeth not shall be damned. So those that reject this truth, those that reject this doctrine, and that's what it is right there, man. That's basically what the preaching is all about. That's basically what the work is all about. That's basically what this whole thing is all about. It's all about sealing the elect and bringing forth the judgment upon 2/3 in the heathen and the Edomites. Declaring their judgment, letting them hear their judgment. Because that's the way the Most High did things in the past, and that's the way He's doing them now. He changes not. That's why you read in the scriptures how the prophets of old, the great prophets of old, they spoke against the nations. They spoke against the people. They spoke against their people. They brought judgments upon their people. They told their people, the Israelites, that what was going to happen to them for the disobedience. And we're doing the same thing, man. We're bringing judgments against these nations, against these heathens, and we're bringing the message of salvation to the elect. With that being said, Most High willing, I hope the lesson was edifying. Didn't want to make it too long. With that, I want to give all honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Kahala Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Bros, keep on pushing. Shalom.